the last but not the least of the...
About 24 hours ahead of the Monetary Policy Committee meeting, the Minister of Finance told captains of industries at a presidential business meeting at the State House in Abuja that lower interest rates are expected in a recession.
Interest rate rise, I think, during a recession needs to be relooked at, and I'm very sure that the Monetary Policy Committee, who are meeting this week, will be looking at that. In a recession, we need to reduce the cost of borrowing.
But dousing the high expectations of business concerns over lower rates, the governor of the central bank announced a retention of all monetary instruments at the current levels before the recession set in.
All 10 Monetary Policy Committee members voted as follows. 1. Retain the MPR at 14%, retain the CRR at 22.5%, retain the liquidity ratio at 30%, and retain the asymmetric window at plus 200 and minus 500 basis points around the MPR.
He says previous rate cuts put pressure on the economy as the lower rates fueled the demand for forex. He also says making provisions for governments to borrow at lower rates might stimulate demands, but also create a risk of very high demand with much less supply.
If you borrow at lower rates to stimulate spending, what that does is that, well, yes, it stimulates demand for goods. But when you stimulate demand for goods by providing cash or money to be spent without taking action to boost industrial capacity, taking actions to boost manufacturing output, what happens is that you will see a situation where you have too much money chasing too few goods, which will also worsen the inflationary conditions that we are now.
The expectations at this unusual economic times is for fiscal policy to harmonize with monetary policy and also for monetary policy rates to move closer to the inflation. But the central bank governor says lower rates are not the immediate solution. Omelogo, Nigeria Channels Television News.